Hey everyone, I hope all is well. Today I'm going to be doing an instructional directed draw on making a robot. What you'll need is a piece of paper, a pencil. If you want to get a Sharpie or black marker to trace your lines, I always think that's a good idea. And then some coloring tools, and that could be crayons, colored pencils, markers, or if you even have some other coloring tools at home, you're welcome to bring those out. I am going to be working in marker so that you can see my lines better, but I think it's always a good idea to start in pencil. That way if we make a mistake, we can go back and erase that mistake. Sound good? If you need to go gather those supplies now, you can go ahead and pause the video while you're getting them together. Once you are ready to go, we are going to start with the body and the head of our robot. And I'm going to draw a piece of paper right here so you can see which way I'm holding my paper. So you're not going to make these lines. This is going to represent my piece of paper. And you can see I made it nice and tall. I might have made it a little bit too tall, or not too tall, but not wide enough. But we're going to hold our paper tall ways, which we also call portrait or hamburger, if you remember. So it's going to be nice and tall, portrait or hamburger. All right. And if anybody's having a little bit of trouble with what that might look like, this is the tall way. Sideways, tall way. We want it nice and tall, just like this. Now the first thing we're going to do is the body of our robot, which is going to be sort of like a square, but you don't want to make it so wide that there's no room for the arms, and you don't want to make it so low to the bottom that there's no room for the legs. So somewhere in the middle, I am going to make sort of a square or a rectangle. You can decide exactly what you want that to look like, leaving a little bit of space on the edges and a little bit of space below. Awesome. Once you've got that, the next thing we're going to add is another square / rectangle for the head of our robot. If at any point you feel like I'm going a little bit too fast, feel free to pause the video so that you can catch up. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to add little kind of rectangles where we're going to attach our arms. We're going to add them where we attach our legs, and we're going to add them to look like ears. I'm going to show you where we're putting these little rectangles. We're going to go one on the side for the arms, one on the other side for those arms. We're going to put two on the bottom for the legs. And they're sort of like little rectangles, but if you want, you can exaggerate it by sort of making those edges come up more. That's up to you. So if you want, you can make it kind of come in, over, and up, but that's up to you. Like on this one, I kind of exaggerated a little, but this one's just a square. You can decide how you want to do that. I also said we're going to add two more for the ears of our robot, so I'm going to add another one there and another one there. Great, great. So we've almost got our body kind of together. We're going to add our arms and legs, and then we're going to dive back in and add some more fine details. The next thing we're going to do on our robots are the legs, which are going to be sort of long rectangles, but I'm not going to go all the way out to the edge of these kind of old rectangles I made. I'm going to come in just a little bit and make two lines coming down. I'm going to do the same thing for both legs. 1, 2. And if you look really closely, you can see that they don't quite touch the edge. They come in just a little bit. All right. Once you've added that, we are going to give our robot you kind of have a couple options for feet. So you can give them round feet. You could give your robot sort of big square feet. You could also give your robot kind of a different shape. If you wanted to give it like an upside down triangle, I'm going to let you decide which shape feet you go. I kind of like the way the round feet look, so I'm going to give my robot big round feet. I'll give you all a moment to decide what you're going to do and add it in there. If you'd like to pause the video now to catch up, that might be a really good idea. Once you've got your feet on there, we are going to add the arms. The arms are going to look similar to the legs, but they're going to be a little bendier. And then I'm going to give you some options for the hands as well. So where we did straight lines for the legs, we're going to do a little bit of curvier lines. They're going to kind of curve up into the air for our robot's arms. And remember, just like the legs, they're not going to go all the way to this corner. They're going to come down just a little bit. So I'm going to make sort of a curvy, wavy line up. And another curvy, wavy line. Notice how I'm following my first line. So I didn't go curvy, wavy line and then just another random curvy, wavy line. Instead, I took that first line that I had and I almost traced next to it. I followed it around just like that. So I did a curvy, wavy line for that arm, and I'm going to do the exact same thing for the other arm. If you want to have it going down instead, like it's doing a little disco dance, that's fine. I'm going to do mine up in the air. All right. We've got our curvy arms. Now I'm going to show us a couple different ways we can make hands. If you want like a really simple hand, you could do sort of a shape, we call this a trapezoid. It's sort of like a rectangle, but it gets wider. You could also do pincher hands, which would be putting a circle on the end and then putting a horn on each edge of the circle. So if you want to give yours pincher hands, you do a circle. I'm actually going to make that a little bigger so everyone can see it. A circle, and then a horn, and a horn. You could also just do a square, or you could do another circle to match your feet. I think I'm going to go with a pincher hand on one side, and then maybe I'm going to do like a big square hand on the other side, almost like a hammer. So maybe it's got a claw and a hammer, but you can make your robot however you want. If you even wanted to add a third kind of, or like a third or fourth kind of hand that I don't know about, that is totally okay. This is your creative adventure. Take it where you would like. Cool, cool. We've got about one more detail to add to the outside of our robot. After that, we're going to be going to the inside to add our kind of little mechanics, our buttons and our gears and our pieces. So what we're going to do is we're going to make antennas, and there's two ways of making antennas. We can either just make some tall rectangles, or we can make some tall rectangles with circles on the top. So you could either do a tall rectangular antenna, you could do a tall pointy antenna if you want, or you could do a tall antenna with a circle on top. Those are sort of the three options that I can think of. If you have another idea, feel free to do it. I'm going to do a tall antenna here and a tall antenna here. If you feel like one in the middle would look better, that's okay. That's up to you too. But I think two antennas looks really nice, and it gives me more areas to add color. All right, so if you need a little time to get caught up on that part, go ahead and take a moment. Otherwise, I'm going to be moving on to the inside details. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a line right across the middle of the belly. Once we've done that, we're going to add maybe 2, 3, or 4 more lines below it. If you want to add 6 or 7, that's okay too, but if you add too many, it's going to get really cluttered. And what we're going to do is I did about 1, 2, 3. And this gives me some different areas to add colors, to add some sort of things like that to our robot, because it's really fun if they turn out like colorful robots. Once you've done the lines across, we're going to do a line going down the middle. The left side, we're going to add buttons and gears and knobs. 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons maybe there. Maybe I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 buttons here. 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. You can make them red, blue, all different colors. That is totally up to you. On the other side, we're going to give our robot sort of powering part. The thing that pumps the oil or whatever we kind of have running through our robot, but we're just going to call it the robot's heart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw just like we draw our heart right here. And that's what's going to keep our robot pumping. If you want, you can add a little line going down your heart and maybe even some dots on the side of it so it looks a little more robotic. I'm going to zoom in on what I just did there in case some people can't see. You could do a line going down the heart and some dots on the side, so it looks a little more robotic. And I'll even demonstrate that on the side one more time so we can really see. Big heart, line, dot, 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 dot. However many dots you feel like you need to fill the space appropriately. Awesome. Once we've done that, we're going to go up to the head. We're going to add eyes, but if we make them too big, there's not going to be room for the mouth. So, I'm going to make one eye, two eyes. Now, there are a lot of ways we've learned to make eyes. If you want to try a different way, I'm totally open to that. But for the sake of keeping things a little simple, I'm just going to do very basic eyes. The mouth is going to be a long rectangle, but we're going to do lines going down the rectangle to almost look kind of like teeth, but maybe because robots might not have teeth, it'll just look like a robot mouth. There's my rectangle. 1, 2, 3 lines down. If you want to do a couple more or a couple less, I'm okay with that. All right. We are really close to done on this robot. There's only one more detail we need to add, and it's to the arms and legs. In order for these arms and legs to move around, we need to make them a little more flexy. If they're made of metal, they almost need what we call joints. It's like where our elbows bend. We need to give them joints too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some lines to the legs, and I'm going to add some lines to the arms. And these are going to help them kind of move around. All right. Once you've done that, if you feel that there are any other details that your robot might be missing, you are welcome to add those. Otherwise, Otherwise, your next step will be to color, or your next step will be to Sharpie over so that your lines really kind of stick out and pop. Does that make sense? Does that sound good? I hope so. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out by email. Otherwise, y'all are rock stars, and you're doing great. Have a great day.